This is Madhu. I would be the Hadoop session trainer. This demo basically would be covering about some of the aspects of the Hadoop and the content what I would like to cover in the sessions. As you might heard about Hadoop, or you might have seen seen about Hadoop. Hadoop is nowadays rapidly evolving uh, a group of frameworks. He started as a simple file system framework, but it is evolving so rapidly that it is covering many of the use cases what typically the traditional systems can do. Along with it, also addressing much of the new generation of use cases, like big data use case, but also covering the some aspects of the cloud-based use cases. So here, let us quickly look at the high-level content. Then I'll cover the course presentation. One other thing in the Hadoop session is that apart from the theoretical discussion, you must get the hands-on with you. Fortunately, you can have this hands-on experience in your own laptop. So the way we are going to discuss in sessions is that you have to deploy a virtual machine in your laptop. So your laptop must be a good running laptop, 8 GB RAM, something like that. If you have that hardware, then we can deploy a virtual machine in your own laptop so that you can continue on the hands-on. So in my case, I have deployed a VM and I have sufficient RAM in my PC so that we can run a CentOS Linux system inside the Windows 7 that is pre-configured. Hadoop distribution comes by the Hortonworks latest version. We're going to use it. And also, I would also cover the Cloudera VM as well. So you get a flavor of both the Hortonworks and Cloudera latest versions. Now, let me quickly run it. Let it run for some time. In the meantime, we'll come back to this once it is up. So here I'm bringing up the Linux OS inside my Windows 7 PC. Yeah, let it come. Okay. So Hadoop course consists about having a little background about big data, defining it, and then looking at the kind of use cases the big data area is going to solve it. It is not that it is the replacement of every system, not like that. So the big data systems are meant to be solving some of the use cases that we will discuss that. Now, of course, if you are not from a Java background, then I would cover a little bit of Java basics. And if you doesn't have any Linux exposure earlier, that is also a requirement in the Hadoop that you should do at least basic Linux and Unix commands to get on. So that also I would like to cover that. In the part 2, that's basically the starting point of our Hadoop discussion. Hadoop comprises of two things. One is the Hadoop HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. The second one is the Hadoop computation framework, that is the MapReduce. So these are the foundation blocks in the Hadoop framework. Based on these two, many abstract frameworks have evolved to ease out the difficulties in these, or to ease out the complexity in these two frameworks. So I'll spend good amount of time on this file system and the MapReduce. You look at various aspects of these two in the part 2. So each session I would be covering with hands-on. So you could, I'll give you some initial hello world programs to the sizable, practical, the purpose oriented data samples to you, so that you can take your time and do some hands on there. The third one is the Hadoop 2.0 is next evolutionary part to the Hadoop. This is where the much of the production systems are now moving on now. The earlier one that is to get a feel of Hadoop, but this is the one you should hang on to. And much of the production Hadoop deployments are now moving to Hadoop 2.0. So you should get good understanding about what are the various constituents of the what are the various improvements happen in the Hadoop 2.0, like Apache Hive, Pig, HBase, Scoop. So we cover these topics, and each one will have detailed practicals as well. So if you are from a warehousing background, you very much love the Apache Hive. This is much similar to the warehouse concepts. All SQL based interactive way to access the Hadoop system. If you came from a scripting background like a shell scripting or the PL SQL, any kind of scripting model if you came from, where you do the processing or something like that, you'll really love this Apache Pig here. That is much for the data flow programming, programmatic paradigm. And Hadoop also offering a database kind of thing, but not exactly the database you would have seen in your other side, like in SQL or Oracle. It's a NoSQL database called Apache HBase, and there is some concept involved in this framework. We'll discuss it as well. Yeah. So this is the advanced part of the Hadoop. TEDGE is a emerging framework that is to solve much of the problematic areas in the Hive and Pig. So that we'll cover it, how this page is going to improve the overall performance of the Hive and Pig. And Spark is a different set of framework which can do a similar job what MapReduce can do. So this is an attempt to replace the core building block of the Hadoop framework. And it has many flavors, like it has SQL, machine learning libraries, and graphics. So we'll discuss these parts. This is much assorted in the market now. It is much more picking up rapidly in the current Hadoop industry, Hadoop-based industry. So you should get hang on this, the emerging frameworks. And Impala is the proprietary framework offered by the Cloudera. It is also trying to solve the latency issues of the Hadoop. They calling it the real-time data querying. So we'll discuss that also. And finally, Apache Hive. So all along when you are looking at these frameworks, you might get a feel that you might have to work with Unix shell. But fortunately, we do have the UI for the Hadoop ecosystems that is called Apache Hive, and pretty easy to work with that. And finally, for those who would like to get hang on the administration part, we have a framework called Apache Ambari. This is much nowadays, replacing all the command line based administration to the UI based administration. Apache Ambari is a fully qualified first class citizen in the Apache community. It can do all aspects of administration in the Hadoop. So we'll going to discuss that. And also Apache Ambari depends on distributed configuration called Apache Zookeeper. So we'll look into that. And some other aspects of the administration. So this is the overall flow of the content I'm going to cover. And you would get I'll help you in setting up the environment in your PC. Once it is there, you can run through samples at your own pace. My emphasis would be on the covering up the advanced topics like here, Tej, Spark, and the Cloudera Impala. So one other thing I would like to cover, who are in the BI or the data warehousing, they would really appreciate getting the end output of this whole processing, getting visualization and being able to export data, import data, or share with your customers like that. So that part I would like to cover as advanced topic, but I am not putting it here because some people doesn't like to be part of this thing. But I'll show that how Tableau can easily interact with much of the Hadoop frameworks and get the data out of it. Yeah. So coming to the distribution part, getting a hands-on about deploying or administering the Hadoop, there are fundamentally some principles are governing around, like what you are seeing in my screen. This is a pseudo cluster, means functionally this resembles the full-blown multi-node cluster, but it's in single machine. It's a virtual environment, but of course a pseudo environment as well. So the interaction between the components of Hadoop would be same what you see in the real cluster. But of course everything in single machine, but each one has its own JVM to support it. But whereas there is one more flavor in the Hadoop called single node installation, where one JVM will be catering the needs of all the Hadoop components here. That's not the case here. This is a pseudo environment. We have bunch of JVMs to support the activity. Let me demonstrate what I'm talking. Okay, shell and then type JPS. So now see, bunch of JVMs are running inside the VM, and each one this is how you see in the real cluster as well. So once you get hang on this pseudo cluster, it will be much similar to what you could do in the real cluster. And this comes as a package from the Hortonworks. Similarly, Cloudera has a similar package like that. But to get a feel of deploying a full-blown cluster and to get the various aspects of the deployment, greatly the Apache Ember will help you a lot. Because this is UI driven. Before Ambari, earlier people used to there's a lot of procedure you have to follow right from the OS level to the deploying the Hadoop packages. But this thing, Apache Ambari, yeah.
Yeah, is Apache Ambari in both provisioned by Hortonworks as well as Cloudera, as well as Zookeeper?
Yeah, Zookeeper anyhow, it's a pretty old one. Ambari is a new, relatively new framework introduced into the Hadoop environment. Hortonworks is supporting from day one, but Cloudera is also support. With the new version, if you look at the Cloudera 5.4 onwards, you see the Ambari is working in that.
Okay, just want to make sure that both have Cloudera, Hadoop, and Hortonworks has an administration management. I just want to know which one belongs to which, but we'll learn that as we go, I guess.
Right. So let us say today you have a single node machine with you. You can easily deploy with Ambari. But tomorrow you are bringing up another 10 nodes into the Hadoop environment. So earlier, you have to, lot of procedure is there to add the nodes to the Hadoop. Then you have to restart the daemons. But Ambari is not the case. Just, go to the configuration section, provide the IP addresses and tell the role, what role they have to play. Then Ambari will take care of provisioning the machines. So yeah, as simple as that. So for beginners or even for the professionals also, much of the learning curve has been reduced here with Ambari. Okay. This sounds exciting, Steven.
Yeah, this is exactly why I joined to see the level of expertise and the depth because I want to start, like I said, I want to create a single node cluster and multi-node and go through all the pieces that you have outlined in your 6 parts. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that is pretty much. But there are two things in Hadoop sessions you have to carry on. One is that if you are from an engineering background, you are pretty much love this installation part, configuring it, administering the environment. But if you're not from engineering background, you're more from a BI or from a analyst background, where you don't really focus on the configuring part, where you focus on the advanced part of it, processing of the data and visualizing, providing visualization on top of it. That's where your stakeholders will get excitement. You can impress your stakeholders. If you have a customer or if you have some stakeholder, you can impress with this new generation of frameworks in the Hadoop. So these things are existing to address a lot of the challenges we have in the earlier generation of Hadoop frameworks. So I'll spend a good amount of time on these frameworks because nowadays all the production systems are moving towards one of these or combination of it. So I'll spend on this thing. So these are pretty much suited or developed in the keeping mind of visualization. So I'll spend time on this one. But of course, you should get the fundamental aspects of the native frameworks like Hive, Pig, HBase. Those remains forever, but the people might not use or not, but the concept remains forever. So I'll discuss these things. So what I would like to do typically in the hands-on before I move to other set of slides. So I'll give you two sets of data sets. One is samples like hello world programs, just to get hang on the syntax if you are not completely familiar with that. Then the large data sets where these sizable data sets of 300 MB, 400 MB to 1 GB, so that your VM can accommodate. Not that we don't have data. Your VM cannot accommodate more than a GB data because that's what this is configured for. So we'll have plenty of room to get experiment with the large data sets. And then coming to the hands-on part of it, the syntax and other things. Take example of Hive. We'll start with the basics. This will have all the hello world programs, just to familiarize with the syntax part of it. Then we'll take up the advanced part of Hive, the real use case will drive through. And Hive also has some customizations, like user-defined functions like that. So each set you will see like that. One is the basic part, and other like for the more advanced that involves a lot of features. Similarly, you see the basics part of it, and then I'll also have advanced part in this. Similarly, hcatalog will have like that. Hbase will have like that. So each topic will have a basic one, and I also have advanced set of commands. Ambari like that. That is one thing. And if you want to get hang on the MapReduce coding, that is purely Java driven coding, then I have we can discuss that at length about setting up the Eclipse in your PC, configuring it to interact with Hadoop system, and then develop various aspects of the MapReduce jobs. But if you are okay, if you don't want to get into the deep of MapReduce, initially you are interested in that, the administration part and other visualizations, and then the high-level processing, then we can skip the MapReduce and go into spend much of time on the other aspects of it. So that's what I divide the course. Right. Now let us look at the kind of content I'm going to present to you. Yeah, regarding myself, I'm acting as solution architect in one of the MNC working from India. But I have Microsoft for a long time. So coming to big data, you would have heard from this big data from various sources, but let us quickly move on to the areas, how the big data is bringing up value to the organizations. This is the really the maturing model, or the driving force in big data world. The kind of frameworks that are getting part of Hadoop are really, this is the aspect is really driving that. If you look at the business value versus the complexity and the kind of value that is bringing to the organizations. So most of the companies when they are starting on the Hadoop, they are like reporting, they are trying to solve some of the reporting issues or data crunching challenges they have with the Hadoop environment here. And then once they are matured in that model, they are moving on to analysis model where they would like to solve some of the OLAP related challenges with the Hadoop based frameworks. The next maturity model would be the building the operational management, instrumentation management with monitoring tools on Hadoop. But the ultimate maturity model of the company with Hadoop technology like getting into the analytics. Analytics have many flavors. The one you would have heard from the market is the summative analytics or the aggregative analytics. Just building up dashboards and showing up what exactly there in various views. But the one that are really emerging now is the prediction analytics. That's called business analytics. It is comprising of three segments here. One is the classification, clustering, and the prediction. So that's where the organizations are moving towards, and that's what the executives seeing value while spending investments into Hadoop-based technologies. Right. So this is like the lighthouse for the Hadoop technologies here. And coming to the opportunities you would have, what kind of roles are really opening up in the market. Clearly two streams you see. One is the development engineering side. Engineering also comprises the administration as well. Second one is the analyst kind of models here, where you do modeling, the data enrichment, data quality. If you are from the master data management, MDM, that also open up a lot of jobs for you. Of course, if you are there in ETL space, extraction, transformation, loading space, Hadoop is one of the good good place to give a lot of opportunity. And to be precisely what exactly these roles are going to offer to you, they can offer you like solution architect, administration based roles, network engineer. If you are purely a SQL or data architect, database based developer, SQL, NoSQL based frameworks will give you that opportunity. So pretty much like that. But if you are on the other side, if you are data scientist and trying to get into Hadoop, there are packages, frameworks like Spark, MLib, Mahout, H2O. They are for the analytics part of it. You can take the natural language processing or text-based text mining on top of the Hadoop frameworks. So if you look at it, it is going multidimensional. It is giving opportunity to many of the disciplines in the industry. Right. So this slide will slightly give you the kind of advantage you will have once you equip with this kind of packages here. Java is if you have Java background, that's really a bonus to you. But otherwise, if you are not from the Java background, but if you are more in the database side, that's also equally give you a lot of opportunities. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much about the intro part of it. Any questions so far?
Basically, the administration piece is just as big as the first tier, second tier, third tier, because the administration with different source systems is part of the ETL process that you mentioned in PIG. So I'm just saying that the hardware piece of it, the administration of Hadoop with external source systems, is huge, huge. Maybe you should create another dot here for the administration piece is big. That's all.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you are right. Administration is a it has a lot of um, broad area, and it comes with many things: OS administration, the frameworks administration, the network administration, many aspects in that.
Yeah, integration, installation, configuration, that's a whole different world, and it's a major, major skill in the industry.
So typically in the Hadoop world, when you are in the engineering side of the Hadoop, primarily two streams will surface. One is the development or the architecting part. Second is the administration part. Administration is mostly driven by the IT teams. The solutioning part mostly driven by the architecting team. Architecting team also will be holding developers, testers like that.
Correct.
So why that segregation happened is that, look at this slide might give you some flavor to you. The segregation is based on the one of the reason is that in the Hadoop world, administration is not entirely different than existing Linux system. That in that sense, in IT perspective, that would be similar. But when it comes to the performance, the metrics, and the availability part, that's again comes to engineering part of it. So here a mix of both worlds, where so that's the reason in the administration part, typically the architecture team will hold the responsibility of the performance monitoring of the Hadoop ecosystem, whereas the IT team will hold the responsibility of making it available, the upgradation of the packages, the maintenance of the systems, they'll hold the responsibility of it. So in that sense, you don't see dedicated, completely owned stakeholder here, but it's a kind of shared responsibility you see between the engineering and the IT teams.
Noted. Thank you.
Yeah. Just to get a glimpse of what the Hadoop could be compared to various things. Veros is there for decades, so pretty much we know how it functions. In Veros, we'll have the lake concept here. The lakes are like these are all fully classified data sources. Could be on technology, could be from the kind of business model, ERP data mart, CRM data mart, or could be from a technology side of it, MySQL data mart or DB data mart. So they all coexist together in a big environment. Often they are clustered together. The end objective is to get they are very much support the business reporting or the business dashboarding or the visualization of the business basically. That is the whole objective of data warehouse here. But in very rare cases you see this data being exposed to the end customers for the data the B2B or B2C transaction. That's not a very popular use case. But the most popular use case are like for visualizations or get insight of the data what is going on. That's what the warehouse being used. So there are this is quite famous there for a while. What the challenge industry was saying from last 10 years. Now this model was not able to accommodate the new breed of data sources with higher velocity. That's we call as a 3V factor. You would have heard about it. With the increased volume of data being produced with the variety and the velocity. So the traditional systems which are meant to be, processing data at a certain pace were unable to process the data and was becoming inadequate to process the variety of data. they're only meant for structured sources, but you have very many semi-structured and unstructured data sources. They're not empowered to process these things. So that's where the big data based ecosystem components are trying to solve the puzzle here. They're bringing value with less investments. That is one more thing. One of the reasons Hadoop became popular, before Hadoop, many systems have come to address the challenges. But why Hadoop stood up is that, because of the cost factor. Typically in a warehouse, if you have to process 1 GB of data, it costs you around somewhere $100. That includes staffing, administration, and all the maintenance cost. Whereas in the Hadoop ecosystem, if you have to process 1 GB of data, typically it would cost around $1. That a substantial difference you have. So even though there are some areas Hadoop is not mature, the executives are taking, they know that, because of the cost saving they have, they can still experimenting with the Hadoop and taking a shot at it. So that is one of the reasons Hadoop became so popular in the industry. Okay, that is about the Hadoop. Let us look at one popular use case. So it is not that Hadoop is like a disruptive technology in the current world. It's not the case. Mostly it is a complementary technologies that can add the investments already we are putting into the warehousing or any other technologies. It is going to be complementing in large scale. Only in few cases Hadoop become a kind of disruptive technologies when it comes to the analytics part of it. So here you see the organization has already made some investments in the warehousing thing. So current warehousing investments being used by the analytics or from the customer applications or from the enterprise applications where enterprise searching, enterprise indexing like that. So this system currently supporting the traditional structured sources. But when you have new breed of sources, that's where you need a system like Hadoop to complement the system to enrich the existing data marketing layer. So Hadoop will take up the new data sources, can do the crunching transformation of it, and then pass it on to the already existing infrastructure so that you can take help of it. Or it can even provide a different indexing and searching capabilities what you can't see in the existing systems. So that's where Hadoop bringing much value in the system. And also it can bring up real-time the instrumentation part of it that you can't achieve in the data warehousing part. Right? So this is one of the popular use cases you see in the much of the organization. Right. So how do we learn the Hadoop? Let us spend 2 more minutes. So if you look at this is the terminal I have. I am connecting to this is my Hadoop distribution, Hot distribution running in my PC as a virtual machine. It got its own IP address. So for this IP address, I have connected with a PuTTY terminal. So from here, I can do all the experimentation. I can connect much of the frameworks here. So this is a pre-configured distribution. So all things you see it here. So you see, if you type Hive and enter, you get into Hive shell. And if you pig, will take you to pig shell. And HBase, that will take you into HBase like that. And Spark also will have called Spark submit, will take you into Spark submit. Apart from it, these are all some shells, means the terminals the Hadoop is providing to you to work with that. But apart from it, you would like to have a serious UI on top of Hadoop. There are like here. So this is an UI For administration, Ambari. This is a UI for development, Hue. So you could play around with these things. Yeah. So this gives you the complete information about all the daemons running inside the Hadoop environment. And there are plenty of configuration sections. You have services. You can do many things. Host, everything you can administrate. Administration section is there. You can add nodes, delete nodes. You can add new package, upgrade new package. Everything you could do here. I'll be covering this part at length. Second part is that if you keen on learning the development part with some UI flavor, then there is a Hue out there. Yeah, Hue is a UI for development and for trying out POCs here. I'm ready for the administration part. So you can try with all these pre-configured packages in the Hive Hue here. You can try out Peak, the Hadoop native file system, hcatalog Hive. This is for the Hive, OZ. Even there is a integration with Ambari, but that's not appreciable. But again, you can work with HBase as well, and you can even fire up some workflows using OZ. You can develop some real workflows with Peak, Hive, and some app-reduced jobs, and do some real implementation on it. Some scheduling also you can do. Right. So this is the UI aspect. I can even browse through the file system through UI also. This is a UI flavor here. Okay. So this is pretty much I'm going to cover in the session. But again, I have the Tableau set up with me. I'll show up the Tableau integration, how you have to connect. So once you understand how to connect Tableau, and the same thing applies to any other reporting tool like QuickView, MicroStrategy. If you have any Cognos, any tool you have, connecting to Hadoop, the tool would be similar with all same interface they connect. So I'll discuss that part. So that's pretty much I have in the demo.